Hi everyone, welcome back to the next Diecast. In today's video, I'll be unboxing this set of 4 Plymouth and Chrysler Voyagers made by Maisto, or Maisto depending on how you want to say it. I found this interesting set from eBay. It came out to just under $80 in total, including shipping, but this is a pretty rare set. These minivans by Maisto are pretty hard to find now, in general, as they have been discontinued for quite some time. So for some background, Maisto made models of the Plymouth Voyager, the Chrysler Voyager, and the Dodge Caravan, all from the 1996 model year, which is when that whole line of minivans was redone. Now, the Chrysler Voyagers that you're going to see in this package when I open it, they're based off the European versions of the Chrysler Voyager, which at the time were kind of interesting because they had the Dodge Grand Caravan or the Dodge Caravan's kind of front end, where you had kind of that 4-section grille, but they had the Chrysler badge on the hood, and they of course had Chrysler Voyager on the rear liftgate. But aside from that, they were pretty much identical to Dodge Caravans and Grand Caravans that we got, at least as far as the US and Canada was concerned. Now, I did get a set of 4 Chevrolet SSR models back in December of last year. This is kind of similar to that, where I'm guessing at one point this was sold as a set for stores to buy, maybe not so much for the general public to buy, but, a store could get this, have the lid opened up, you had the 4 vans in there, and then they were sold kind of individually, I suppose. So at one point, this set may have been sold to a store, and then maybe someone went to that store and then bought the whole set, and then got the box with it. I'm not totally sure on the background of my specific set right here, but it is pretty much mint in box. I'm actually really excited to be opening it up, but as you can see here, it's kind of in the older, black and gold style of Maisto boxes that they were selling, or that they were using, I guess I should say, back in the 1990s. I'm not sure if there's actually a copyright date down here. I don't see one. But the rest of the box is pretty basic. You just have the Maisto logo there. It says Plymouth Voyager, Dodge Caravan on the side there. There's some number taped to it. I'm not really sure what that is. Diecast collection. Same thing on that side, too. Not really too much to see on the back here either. Copyright 2000, so I assume that's when these were probably made. A lot of times the copyright date on Maisto boxes corresponds to when the models inside the box were made. So I'm guessing these were all made around 2000 or so. So we're going to go ahead and get this opened up. We'll see what we got inside here. Wow, check that out. Right off the bat, very cool. You actually get 4 different colors of the vans in here. These 2 are the Plymouth versions, and these 2 are the Chrysler versions. Very, very cool. So we're going to go ahead and take this protective plastic, I guess, cover off, or whatever we're going to call it. Then we'll see what we have in terms of the vans. Wow, look at that. Very cool. We'll go ahead and kind of take each one out and get a closer look at it. Up first, we have the white version. This is the white Plymouth Voyager, or Grand Voyager, actually, as you can tell by the badging, and because this is the long wheelbase version. The regular Voyager was the short wheelbase, and the Grand Voyager was the long wheelbase, but here's the white version. Very well detailed and everything. Of course, these do have the opening sliding doors, as we'll see right here. Very cool feature. Opening lift gates as well. Also very cool. And here's the kind of bluish purple version. Same thing, sliding doors. That go like that. And you, of course, have the opening lift gate on this one as well. Oh, there's actually a price tag sticker still on the bottom here, or a barcode, I should say. And notice on the base it says Dodge Caravan and Plymouth Voyager, because they were using the exact same bases for these. Very cool. It came out to around, $20 per van. Not a bad deal, I don't think, considering that you can't get these anymore in 1/24th scale vehicles. Well, these are actually 1/26th scale. I forgot to mention that. So they're slightly underscaled, but you can't really notice it too much unless you put them next to certain 1/24th scale cars. Now here's the 2 Chrysler Voyagers / Dodge Caravans. Here's the green version. Nice metallic finish on there too. This actually has a different bumper. This, of course, is basically the Dodge Caravan, only over in Europe, it's branded as the Chrysler Voyager. They kept the Dodge grille and everything. And back here, you'll see Chrysler Voyager on the lift gate, which opens, of course, and then this one also has these sliding doors. There's that door, and then this door here. Very cool. Oh, these do have working steering too. You can see right there, and there's the steering wheels. All right, last but not least, we have the red version of the Voyager, or the Chrysler Voyager, I should say. It looks like that one door's popped out a bit back there. Might have to fix that later. But here's that lift gate back there. And this sliding door opens up like so. This one we'll try to push out from, there we go, like that. And we'll close it all up. There we go. There's the 4 vans out of the box. Super cool. All right, here's all 4 of those minivans out of their box. I'm really excited to have gotten this set. It does seem like this set is particularly hard to find. And these vans are actually hard to find as individual models as well. Maisto didn't make these for particularly long, especially the Plymouth versions in the front here. They were made from the mid-1990s, around 1996, which is when this particular generation of these vans was launched, until around the early 2000s. And this green Chrysler Voyager back here was produced until the mid-2000s. So Maisto did make 3 different versions of these vans. Now, this generation of this series of Chrysler, Dodge, and Plymouth vans was made from 1996 until 2000. And they were sold as the Chrysler Town and Country, the Plymouth Voyager, the Dodge Caravan, and the Chrysler Voyager. Now, the Chrysler Voyager, which is what you see back here with these 2 vans, was sold outside of North America. And in North America, we got the Plymouth Voyager, the Dodge Caravan, which is pretty much identical to the Chrysler Voyagers back here, as well as the Chrysler Town and Country. Now, the Chrysler Town and Country was different in the sense that it had a different and kind of larger front grille. And of course, you have the Chrysler badge kind of in the center of that grille. And of course, the front and rear bumpers were different as well. The Chrysler Voyager of this particular generation was basically a Dodge Caravan with different badging. And in addition to those kind of 3 or 4 different van choices or name choices, you also had 2 different choices of wheelbase lengths as well. These vans came in both short wheelbase and long wheelbase versions. You can tell the difference between the 2 based off the names. For example, these are the Plymouth Grand Voyagers in the front here because they're based off the long wheelbase versions of the real vehicles. I believe for the Chrysler Voyagers, they were only sold as the long wheelbase version. So therefore, they were just called the Chrysler Voyager as opposed to the Chrysler Grand Voyager. I could be wrong on that. A lot of information about this particular generation is confusing because there were so many different versions, so many different wheelbases and whatnot. And these options varied from country to country as well. But in terms of the Maisto models of these vans, they are all 1/26 scale. You had a choice between the Dodge Caravan or the Chrysler Voyager in either this emerald green you see back here or this bright red, and the Plymouth Voyager in either this white or this dark blue that you see in the front here. I think in terms of overall details and quality, Maisto did do a good job with these vans. I did actually do an unboxing and a review of a similar Voyager to this one here, where it came in a set of 2 cars. The set had this Voyager in blue, not this exact one here, but an identical version of this, and a Plymouth Prowler Roadster. So I did do kind of a quick review of that particular Voyager when I did get it along with the Prowler. This was back in 2021 or so. But I did since find this set of 4 vans, and I'm really happy that I did. So in terms of details, I think Maisto did do a good job. For all versions of these vans, the front grills are all see-through grills, and in the case of the Plymouth Voyager or Grand Voyager, because these are based off the longer wheelbase versions, you do have the separately cast plastic egg crate grill. The Plymouth logo in the center is just a sticker, unfortunately, but if you do get the Chrysler Voyager or the Dodge Grand Caravan versions of these vans, the badge is actually embossed on the hood, as you see back here with the Voyagers. And of course, for the Chrysler Voyager / Dodge Grand Caravan, you have the crosshair grille that was standard on those vehicles. And these are also see-through grills, much like the Plymouth versions that you see here. The headlights and taillights are decently done. There are some obvious pegs in them, but I don't think that's really a big deal, because from certain angles, you can't really see it all that well. And especially from a far distance, it's really kind of difficult to see. All have the gray side mirrors that are, I think, a little bit too small in terms of proportions, but they do look okay nonetheless, and they're also very sturdy as well. Now, the main difference between the 2 or 3 types of vans, and all these details are actually accurate to the real versions of the vans too. Of course, for the Plymouth Grand Voyagers, you have the gray trim piece going across the whole length of the van, the egg crate grille, and the Plymouth badge on the front doors. And then, of course, on the liftgate, you have the Plymouth Grand Voyager inscriptions back here. Now, for the Chrysler Voyagers, you have the Chrysler Star badge up on the hood, the Voyager license plate in the front, and then, of course, it says Chrysler Voyager on the liftgate. And then you have this lower gray cladding on the van as well. Now, the Dodge Grand Caravan versions are identical pretty much to the Chrysler Voyager versions, except for the fact that you have a Dodge badge instead of a Chrysler badge, and it says Dodge Grand Caravan on the liftgate instead of Chrysler Voyager, like you see here. And these are all true to the real vans as well. Now, I think on some of the upper trimmed versions of the Chrysler Voyager / Dodge Grand Caravan, the lower cladding was instead body colored instead of this gray. But in terms of the lower trims, you did get the gray cladding. In terms of the wheels and tires, Maisto did do a good job with these as well. These wheels did come standard on the Dodge Grand Caravan, but Maisto used it kind of on all the versions of these vans. And of course, you do get full steering as well, which is a nice touch. These were made in the 1990s, and Maisto was still putting steering systems on their 1/24th to 1/27th scale models at the time. So I do think that that's a cool touch. And you also have the branded Goodyear tires on all versions of the vans as well. The paint quality on all the vans, I would say, is very well done, especially considering that these were made in the 1990s. A lot of times, Maisto models from that era had various issues with their paintwork, such as orange peel or just rough areas kind of here and there on any given model. But at least as far as my examples of these vans go, the paint is pretty much flawless. There's maybe some minor imperfections here and there, but aside from that, the paint is very well done on all of these models here. And of course, all of these models do include the opening sliding doors. They are kind of made of plastic, so just be careful when you are opening and closing them. You have to kind of ease it open like that. I think the Plymouth Voyagers have slightly easier to open doors than the Chrysler Voyagers / Dodge Grand Caravans do, but that might just be for my models right here. I'm just going to kind of go ahead and do all the doors since I have all 4 of the models here. But yeah, especially for the green version, it is kind of hard to do. You sort of have to, coax it into opening, I guess. And you can always put your finger through and push out the other side if you're having issues opening one of the doors. So they all slide open like that. They kind of make that squeaky noise too, but it's, plastic hinges rubbing against plastic, so it's going to make that kind of screechy noise. And this one is actually hard to open too, but as long as you kind of get it in place like that, then you got it. And these models do have full side windows too, which is a cool touch. It does make it kind of hard to open the doors though, but I do like how from a distance they have a nice kind of seamless look because you have those side windows. This one, as you can see, I do have to kind of push it out through this end like that. There we go. So I would not open these doors very often if you do end up getting these vans because they are somewhat fragile. That being said, it's a really cool feature. I mean, like, look at that. Super cool. And of course, all four also have the opening rear lift gates as well, which open up like so. Now, in terms of interior detailing, you don't really have a whole lot. And it's kind of hard to see, especially in the front in terms of like the dashboard and the center consoles and whatnot, because you have these side windows. But in the center stacks, you do have all the buttons kind of accurately laid out and whatnot. And the steering wheels do have the Chrysler/Dodge and Plymouth badges on them as well. And the windows do have kind of a tint to them. So it makes it, I think, even more difficult to kind of see in here. But if we kind of put this towards the lighting like that, you kind of get a slightly better look in there. But I think for a 1/24 or 1/26 scale model from the 90s, the interior detailing is decent. There is no interior door panel detailing as far as the rear doors go, unfortunately. And the seats kind of do look a bit too blocky compared to how the actual van seats would look. But at least Maisto does try, and at least you do get these opening rear doors. You don't really have too much detail back here either. You just have kind of the rear seat back. There's kind of a decent look in there, I suppose. You can kind of see the steering wheel right there, but I think it is just kind of hard to say, but that's only because you have these kind of tinted side windows. But yeah, not too much detail on these interiors, and you do have kind of the gaping holes where the doors kind of open and shut right here. But for models that were intended to be toys from the 1990s, I think Maisto did do a good job in a lot of respects with these models here. So we'll go ahead and close everything up. And it's actually much simpler to close all these doors than it is to open them, as you can see here. But yeah, the red one does have kind of a bit of a tricky issue with the passenger side rear sliding door. You have to kind of pop it back into place like that. I'm not going to open these up too much because one, they're rare, and two, they're just kind of difficult to open. Let me see if I can try to get a better look at the interior, at least as far as this van goes. And the front seats, I would say, are decently detailed and shaped, but the two rear seats are, I think, a little bit more boxier than they should be. Although one cool feature is that the second row seats are offset like you would see on the real vans. That's so you have room to kind of enter and climb into the rearmost seat or into the third row seat. So Maisto did kind of accurately lay out these seats in that sense. And the front seat backs do have the right shape, but I think the headrests are a little bit too thin. And the bench seats in the second and third rows, I think, could have used a bit more detailing, but I think what Maisto did is okay for a model made from the 1990s. So these vans are going to be hard to find, especially if you actually do want to look for this particular set of four. It seems like the individual Dodge Grand Caravan models in like the single boxes are the easiest to find out of all three versions of these vans. And this set of four, I think, is the most difficult to find. I didn't even know that this set existed until I saw this listing on eBay. If you can find these, you are going to probably pay at least $20 for them if you're getting an individual model, and maybe closer to 40 or 50 or more if you're looking to get this set of four here. But these do pop up as individual models from time to time on eBay. So if you can find any of these for a good price, I would say go ahead and get them. Just keep in mind that these were made in the 1990s, so details and quality aren't going to be the best, but they are very, I think, unique in terms of models and whatnot. So feel free to comment down below with your thoughts on these vans, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.